When you feel alone, truly alone, not the kind of alone that comes from a quiet room, but the kind that comes from realizing no one is really reaching for you anymore. It can feel like God has stepped back too. It's like heaven went silent at the exact moment you needed a sign. But what if this loneliness isn't proof that you've been forgotten? What if it's proof that something deeper is happening? Something holy, something hidden, something intentional. Because there are seasons when God doesn't comfort you the way people do. He doesn't fill the room with noise. He clears the room. And if you're a woman who keeps asking, why am I still here? Why am I still waiting? Why does it feel like I have no one? You need to hear this with your whole heart. Being chosen doesn't mean being favored. It means being formed. There's some misunderstanding that quietly damages a lot of believers, especially women who are trying to be faithful while carrying wounds nobody sees. The word chosen can sound like a crown, like a compliment, like God picked you because you're better than the people around you. But that's not what chosen looks like in real life. In real life, chosen often looks like pressure. It looks like separation. It looks like tears you don't post. It looks like watching others move forward while you feel stuck. Chosen doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it comes with pruning. Not because God is cruel, but because He's careful. Not because He wants you smaller, but because He's building something in you that can hold weight. If this message is for you, you'll recognize yourself somewhere in these 7 signs. Not because you're trying to label yourself as special, but because you're trying to understand the season you're in. And if you've been feeling alone, this isn't just information. It's confirmation. The first sign God is preparing a chosen woman is that He removes people you once depended on. This is the part nobody wants to hear because it feels unfair. People who once felt permanent suddenly feel distant. Friendships grow cold. Conversations get shorter. Invitations stop coming. Even family can feel emotionally unavailable. And you keep replaying it in your mind, asking what you did wrong. But here's what happens in a season of preparation. God begins to loosen your grip on what you used to lean on. Because if your strength is always borrowed from people, your faith will always be fragile. God is not punishing you by letting them go. He is protecting what He's building in you from being shaped by the wrong hands. Sometimes the people you depended on weren't evil. They were just too small for where God is taking you. And if they stayed, you might have never learned how to stand without their approval. God doesn't always remove people because they're bad. Sometimes He removes them because you are about to make them your source. God refuses to compete with anyone for that place. The second sign is deep loneliness, and when you're surrounded. This is one of the most confusing feelings, because you can be in a room full of people and still feel invisible. You can laugh at dinner, respond to messages, show up at church, and still go home feeling empty. And you wonder, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel this gap inside? But that gap is often the place God is making room. There's a loneliness that comes from rejection, and there's a loneliness that comes from elevation. When God is preparing you, He starts pulling you away from shallow connection, not to make you bitter, but to make you rooted. Because when you're a chosen woman, you don't just need company, you need alignment. You don't just need attention, you need truth. And if your soul is waking up to the fact that casual relationships don't satisfy you anymore, that's not a flaw. That's a sign your spirit is hungry for something real. The third sign is that you no longer fit where you used to. You notice it in small ways at first. The jokes don't land the same. Conversations feel empty. The places you used to love feel loud. The habits you used to justify start to feel heavy. You don't even always know how to explain it, to just feel out of place. And people might say you're changing. They might say you're distant. They might even accuse you of thinking you're better than them. But what's really happening is that your identity is being refined. God has a way of making you uncomfortable in environments that once felt normal, because He refuses to let you settle into a version of yourself that can carry your calling. This is not you becoming cold. This is you becoming clear. And clarity can feel lonely, because not everyone will understand why you can't go back to what you once tolerated. But a chosen woman often outgrows rooms before she understands why. And that confusion is part of the formation. The fourth sign is delays in love, plans, or life direction. This is the one that hurts the most, especially if you're faithful. You've prayed, you've tried to do it right, you've waited, and you've watched other people get what you've been asking God for relationships, marriage, opportunities, stability, and your timeline feels like it keeps getting pushed back. It's easy to believe that delay means denial. But many times, delay means development. God doesn't rush what needs to last. And when He's preparing you, He often slows things down, not to torture you, but to strengthen you. Because some blessings are heavy, some doors once opened require wisdom you can't fake. Some relationships demand healing you can't skip. And if God gave you what you wanted before He built what you needed, you might lose yourself trying to keep it. Chosen woman is often protected by postponement, not because she's less lovable, but because God is serious about her future. And if your season feels slow, it might be because God is making sure you, Dante, step into something beautiful while still bleeding. The fifth sign is increased sensitivity to noise and chaos. You start craving peace more than excitement. You can't tolerate drama like you used to. Certain music, certain conversations, certain environments, things that once felt normal now feel draining. You feel overstimulated quickly. You want quiet. You want simplicity. You want space to breathe. And you might think you're becoming too sensitive. But sensitivity isn't weakness when it's tied to discernment. When God is preparing you, He trains your spirit to recognize what steals your peace. He makes you aware of what contaminates your mind. Because a chosen woman needs discernment more than she needs popularity. She needs sensitivity to what is spiritually off, even when it looks socially acceptable. That sensitivity will protect you later. It will keep you from partnerships that feel good but lead you away from God. It will keep you from friendships that entertain you but exhaust you. It will keep you from environments that celebrate you while quietly diminishing you.
Ow.
The sixth sign is a quiet pull toward prayer and solitude. Not the forced kind, not the guilty kind, but a gentle pull. You find yourself wanting to talk to God in the middle of ordinary moments. In the car. Late at night. Early in the morning. You start wanting Scripture not as a routine, but as a lifeline. And it's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's just you sitting in silence, not knowing what to say, but still staying. That is formation. That is intimacy. God is teaching you what it means to be held by Him when no one else is holding you. This is where many women break or bloom. Because solitude reveals what was hidden. It brings up grief. It brings up fear. It brings up old memories you thought you healed from. But God doesn't bring those things up to shame you. He brings them up to free you. A chosen woman isn't built in a crowd. She's built in private. And the seventh sign is that you're tired of pretending to be strong. This sign is not weakness. It's honesty. You've been the one who holds it together. It's the one who checks on others. The one who shows up. It's the one who smiles, even when your heart is heavy. But lately you're exhausted. You're tired of performing faith. You're tired of acting okay. You're tired of carrying your pain alone. And you might feel guilty for it, like you're failing spiritually. But what if this tiredness is your soul finally refusing to live in survival mode? God cannot heal the version of you that keeps pretending. He heals the version of you that finally tells the truth. And when you stop pretending, you make room for real strength, not the loud strength that impresses people, but the quiet strength that comes from surrender. This is where the chosen woman becomes dangerous to the enemy, not because she's perfect, but because she's free. Now listen closely. If you recognized yourself in these signs, I want you to understand something. Your loneliness is not proof that God is absent. It might be proof that God is near. Sometimes God is quiet because He's close. Sometimes He's not speaking because He's working. Sometimes He's not changing your situation because He's changing you. And that doesn't mean the pain isn't real. It is. Doesn't mean the nights aren't heavy. They are. But it means your season has meaning. It means your tears are not wasted. It means your waiting is not empty. If God is separating you, it's because He's preparing you. If you feel unseen, it's because God is building something in you that cannot be built under constant human validation. If you feel alone, it's because God is teaching you how to be anchored in Him before He connects you to what's next. So don't rush this season. Don't shame yourself for feeling tired. Don't call yourself broken just because you're being refined. And don't let the silence convince you that nothing is happening, because in the hidden place, God does His deepest work. And one day you will look back and realize the loneliness wasn't the end of your story, it was the beginning of your becoming. If God is quiet right now, it's because He's close.